A simple waitress changed an entire town. She uncovered the town's darkest secret. What would you do if the person sitting across from you was hiding something so devastating that one wrong move could destroy everything you thought you knew about your town? On a cold Tuesday morning in November, a waitress named Chloe poured what she thought was just another cup of coffee. She had no idea that within 60 seconds she would be standing between two police officers and a trembling stranger, and that 3 words she was about to speak would expose a truth so dark it would force an entire community to question everything they believed about justice and courage. This is a story about courage found in the most unexpected place. But before you decide whether Chloe was a hero or just someone in the wrong place at the right time, I need to warn you. By the time the story ends, you'll be asking yourself a question you might not want to answer. What would you have done? Before we dive deeper, let us know in the comments where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. And if you're new here, click on the subscribe button so you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Riverside Town, population 4,412 people. The kind of town where everyone knows your name, where Friday night football games are the biggest event of the week. Main Street still has a hardware store run by the same family since 1947. People leave their doors unlocked. Kids ride their bikes until the streetlights come on. Safe, predictable, honest, or at least that's what everyone believed. Chloe Morrison had lived in Riverside her entire 28 years. She managed the morning shift at Millie's Cafe, opening at 5:30 a.m. every day except Sunday. But small doesn't mean easy. Chloe's mother, Catherine, had been diagnosed with early-onset dementia 3 years earlier. Medical bills piled up. Her younger brother, Daniel, had moved to Pittsburgh for work, sending money when he could, but it was never enough. Most nights, Chloe sat at her kitchen table with a calculator and envelopes, trying to figure out which bill could wait. The cafe paid $11 an hour. She had stopped buying new clothes. She canceled her internet. Every night before bed, she checked on her mother, who sometimes recognized her and sometimes didn't. This was Chloe's life. Exhausting. Tuesday, November 14th. The morning started like any other. Chloe switched on the lights and unlocked the front door at 5:55 a.m. By 6:15, the regulars filtered in. Tom Bradley with black coffee and wheat toast. Susan Chen with chamomile tea and a muffin. Gary Simmons with 2 eggs and bacon. Same seats, same orders. At 6:40, a man walked in that Chloe had never seen. He was maybe 40, with graying hair and a worn-out jacket. He sat in the corner booth by the window. He ordered coffee, black, no food. The man wrapped both hands around the mug, his eyes moving toward the window, then down, then back. Chloe noticed, but didn't think much of it. People passed through Riverside all the time. But there was something different about this man. Like he was trying to disappear. Like he was afraid. At 7:12 a.m., 2 police officers walked. Officer Dennis Hartman and Officer Kyle Porter. Both had been with Riverside Police for over a decade. They weren't smiling. Chloe felt something shift. She watched as they scanned the cafe until their eyes landed on the man in the corner. He saw them too. His hands tightened. Chloe saw the fear in his eyes. The officers walked toward his table slowly. The entire cafe went silent. Dennis reached the table first, one hand on his belt. Kyle blocked the exit. Dennis spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. He asked the man what he was doing in Riverside, where he came from. The man's hands shook. He said he was just passing through, hadn't done anything wrong, and just wanted his coffee. Dennis told him to stand up, that they needed to question him at the station. The man hesitated, looked around for help, but everyone looked away. That's when Chloe felt it, that pull in her chest when you know something isn't right. She didn't know this man, but she knew fear. She knew what it looked like when someone with power used it against someone who had none. Chloe set down the coffee pot and walked over. Every step felt heavy. Her heart pounded. When she reached the table, she looked at Dennis and said 3 words. "Leave him alone." The cafe went silent. Dennis turned to her, surprised and irritated. Kyle told Chloe this wasn't her business and to go back to work. But Chloe didn't move. She said the man hadn't done anything wrong. He ordered coffee, paid for it, was sitting quietly. Dennis's jaw tightened. Chloe asked what reason they had, but Dennis didn't answer. The tension pressed against everyone. Then Dennis leaned close and whispered. He told her she was making a mistake, to think about her mother, her brother, her job. Some battles aren't worth fighting, he said. Chloe's stomach dropped, but she didn't move. Finally, Dennis straightened up and said they'd be back. Then they left. The cafe remained silent, then slowly, conversations resumed. Chloe turned to the man. He was staring at her, disbelieving. She asked if he was okay. Yes, thank you, he whispered. Chloe walked back, with her hands shaking. Tom Bradley paid without looking at her. Susan left without saying goodbye. By 8:30, the cafe was nearly empty. The man was gone, leaving $10 for a $3 coffee. Chloe knew this wasn't over. How would you have felt in that moment? Standing there alone, wondering if you just made the biggest mistake of your life? Would you have had that courage? The next morning, people were quieter. Tom didn't come in. By noon, the lunch rush never came. People were avoiding her. That afternoon, when Millie came by, she asked what had happened, and Chloe told her. Millie sighed. She said Chloe had a good heart, but standing out meant standing alone in small towns because people were talking. Some thought Chloe disrespected the police. Others were scared. Millie told her to be careful because small towns have long memories, and over the next week, things had worsened. Customers stopped coming during her shifts, tips disappeared, people crossed the street when they saw her. Someone even spray-painted "snitch" on her car. 2 weeks later, Chloe was closing alone at almost 9 p.m. when she walked to her car and saw him. The man from the corner booth. He looked different, but cleaner and less afraid. He said her name. She asked how he knew. He said everyone in Riverside knew her name now. His name was David Brennan, and what she'd done had saved his life. If you're gripped by this story, hit that like button and subscribe. We share powerful stories like this every week. David wasn't a criminal. He was a former construction worker living in Riverside for 6 months. 3 months earlier, while walking home, he cut through the woods and saw something he shouldn't have. Dennis Hartman and Kyle Porter pulling over a young man on a deserted road. David watched from the trees as they dragged the man from his car. David watched as they planted a small bag. Illegal substance. The young man said it wasn't his, but they arrested him anyway. David stood frozen. He knew what he'd seen, but also what happened to people who spoke up against cops in small towns. He stayed quiet. Weeks later, David learned the young man, Brian Castellano, was sentenced to 3 years. His family destroyed. His mother lost her job. Sister dropped out of college. David carried the weight. So he started digging. Brian wasn't the only one. Over 2 years, Hartman and Porter had been involved in at least 6 similar arrests. Young men, usually outsiders, all claiming they'd been set up, all convicted. The officers were planting evidence to boost arrest records. Nobody questioned it because Riverside trusted its police. David gathered evidence, planning to take it to state police. But Hartman and Porter found out. They cornered him, told him to leave town or regret it. David tried to leave, but his car broke down, no money. The morning Chloe saw him, he'd been planning to walk to the next town. He stopped for coffee because it was cold. Then the officers walked in, ready to take him somewhere nobody would ask questions. But Chloe stepped in. Her 3 words gave him time. The next day, David contacted a journalist in Pittsburgh, sent her everything. She'd been investigating for 2 weeks. The story was about to break. Next morning, it hit. A major outlet published a detailed investigation into corruption in Riverside Police Department. It named Hartman and Porter, included David's account, and Chloe's testimony. The story went viral. State police opened an investigation. Hartman and Porter were suspended. Some called Chloe a hero, others a traitor. She just kept working and caring for her mother. 3 months later, Hartman and Porter were charged with evidence tampering, false imprisonment, conspiracy. Brian Castellano and 4 others were released. Convictions overturned. Some people apologized to Chloe. Tom Bradley left her a $50 tip. Susan Chen wrote a thank you letter. But others never forgave her, saying she'd embarrassed the town. Chloe learned doing the right thing doesn't always make you popular. Sometimes it costs you. But it's still right. 6 months later, a young woman walked into the cafe. Early 20s, nervous eyes. She ordered coffee, then looked up. "You don't know me," she said, "but you saved my brother. Brian Castellano is my brother, and because of you, he's home." She reached across and took Chloe's hand. "Thank you for seeing him, for seeing all of them." In that moment, everything made sense. She hadn't just saved one man, she'd saved 6. She'd given families back their sons, brothers, futures. This is about choice, about deciding to speak up or stay silent. Chloe didn't set out to be a hero. She just saw someone who needed help and decided turning away wasn't an option. Because of 3 simple words, an entire system of corruption was exposed. Innocent people went free. So what would you have done? Would you have walked over, said something, or looked away? It's easy to say we'd be brave. Harder to do it, especially when it means losing friends, facing threats, becoming an outcast. But heroes come from ordinary people who make extraordinary choices in moments that matter. Chloe still works at Millie's Cafe, opens at 5:30. Life didn't get easier, but she doesn't regret it, because when the moment came, she chose courage, and that choice gave someone else freedom. If this story moved you, hit that like button. Leave a comment where you're watching from and what you would have done. Would you have stayed silent or spoken up? Subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell. We share stories like this every week. Stories about kindness, courage, moments that change lives. So what will you do next time you see someone who needs help? That moment will come. You'll have to decide who you want to be. The person who looks away or the person who steps forward. The choice is yours. It matters more than you know. Thank you for watching. Leave a comment, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel. I'll see you in the next story.